Hello, welcome to my student support system. In today's class, we will discuss about diabetes mellitus. This lecture is in English, and if you want to study in Hindi, just click on I button and you will get link of Hindi lecture. Or you can directly visit to channel My Student Support System and search for your favorite topic in Hindi. What is diabetes mellitus? Diabetes mellitus is a metabolic disease characterized by increased level of glucose in the blood, that is known as hyperglycemia, resulting from defect in insulin secretion or insulin action or both. How we classify DM or diabetes mellitus? The major type of diabetes mellitus are type 1 and type 2. What is type 1 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes is much less prevalent than type 2. Type 1 diabetes affects only 5 to 10% of people suffering from diabetes mellitus. Type 1 diabetes has an acute onset, usually before 30 years, but it can occur later also. It is also known as juvenile diabetes or insulin dependent diabetes mellitus or IDDM. DKA, that is a complication of diabetes mellitus, is typically associated with type 1 diabetes. The causes of type 1 diabetes are: type 1 diabetes is caused by destruction of pancreatic beta cell, or we can say pancreatic tissue. Destruction of beta cells of islets of Langerhans of pancreas gland may be associated with genetic disorders, immunological problems, and possibly environmental factors. Regardless of the specific cause, the destruction of beta cell results in decreased insulin production. Type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is much more prevalent than type 1. It affects 90 to 95% of people who are suffering from diabetes mellitus, means more number are there. Type 2 diabetes can affect any age group, but it is more common among people older than 30 years of age. It is a chronic disease and slow progressive diabetes mellitus, normally DKA, that is a complication, we will study it later in this chapter, is not associated with this type of diabetes. So this is the basic difference. One is insulin dependent and it is not insulin dependent, and second is appearance of DKA. What are the causative factors of type 2 diabetes? Type 2 diabetes is caused by insulin resistance. The insulin production is okay, but there is resistance, or we can say that cells are not responding properly to that insulin. Insulin resistance refers to the decreased tissue sensitivity to the insulin. In type 2 diabetes, the intracellular reactions are diminished, making insulin less effective at stimulating the glucose uptake by the tissue and at regulating the glucose release by the liver. It leads to glucose imbalance or increase in the blood sugar level. What are the clinical manifestations of diabetes? Both type of diabetes leads to almost same clinical manifestation, because clinical manifestations of diabetes mellitus depends upon the hyperglycemia mainly. The typical sign and symptom of all type of diabetes include polydipsia, means increased thirst; polyuria, means increased urination, frequency of urination is increased; and polyphagia, increased appetite, client wants to eat more. Other symptoms include fatigue and weakness, sudden vision changes, tingling and numbness in the hands and feet, dry skin, skin lesions and wounds, especially in the feet that do not heal or very slow to heal, recurrent infections. What are the diagnostic investigation? How we will diagnose the client is suffering from diabetes? So number one is history taking and physical examination. If we properly take history and examine the client, then the sign and symptoms that we have discussed, if they are present, then we can think of that the client is suffering from diabetes. Then some investigations can be done. An abnormally high blood glucose level is the basic criteria for diagnosis of diabetes, and for this blood fasting sugar, random sugar or glucose blood level after 2 hours of food, that is known as sugar, blood sugar PP, that we go for it. Treatment. The main goal of diabetes treatment is to normalize the blood glucose level and to reduce the chances of development of vascular and neuropathic complications, because once these complications occur, it is very difficult to reverse it. The diabetes mellitus management has 5 main components: pharmacological therapy, proper monitoring, nutritional therapy, exercise and education. So these 5 activities can achieve our goal of diabetes mellitus. First is pharmacological therapy. Type 1 diabetes. In type 1 diabetes, insulin injection must be administered for the whole life, because the body loses the ability to produce insulin. So we have to give it from outside. That's why we call it IDDM, insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. And in type 2 diabetes, oral hypoglycemic agents, means oral medicines, are sufficient to control the blood glucose level. But sometimes the client may need insulin injections for some period of time, not for whole life. So this is the basic difference in the treatment of both type of diabetes. Other modalities, other 5 points, they are same for both type of diabetes. That is monitoring. Second is monitoring after pharmacological management. Blood glucose monitoring is very important in diabetes mellitus. Using frequent SMBG. SMBG means self-monitoring of blood glucose, and learning how to respond to the results enables people with diabetes to adjust their treatment regime and to obtain optimum blood glucose level. Next is nutritional therapy. The main goal of nutritional management of diabetes is to control total calorie intake and to attain and maintain reasonable body weight. Control of blood glucose level and normalization of lipid and blood pressure prevents heart disease also. The patient should strictly adhere and follow the diet chart prescribed by physician or dietitian. Exercise. Exercise lowers the blood glucose level by increasing uptake of glucose by body muscles and by improving insulin utilization. Resistance training such as weightlifting can increase muscle mass, thereby increasing the resting metabolic rate, and ultimately this will reduce the glucose level. Ideally, the patients with diabetes should exercise at same time and in the same amount each day. Education, that is health education, we can say. Diabetes mellitus is a chronic illness and it requires a lifetime special self-management behavior. Patients need knowledge regarding basic details about diabetes, self-monitoring of blood glucose, self-administration of insulin, effective diet and menu planning, exercise schedule, recognition of our self-respect or self-life, treatment and prevention of complications. So proper health education should be provided to the client. What are the complications that the patient should avoid or should prevent? The complications are basically of two types: acute complications and chronic complications. In acute complication, the major three acute complications are there: hypoglycemia, DKA, that is diabetic ketoacidosis, and HHNS, hyperglycemic hyperosmolar non-ketotic syndrome. First, we will see the what is hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is a condition in which blood glucose level falls less than 50 to 60 milligram per 100 ml. Now you can think of that in diabetes normally blood glucose level is high. How hypoglycemia develops? This is because taking more insulin than required, then glucose level may go down, or taking more hypoglycemic agent accidentally or by mistake, or after taking insulin there may be missed breakfast or missed food, then hypoglycemia may occur, and excessive exercise may also lead to hypoglycemia. Clinical manifestations of mild hypoglycemia include sweating, tremor, tachycardia, palpitation, nervousness, and hunger. Clinical manifestations of moderate hypoglycemia include inability to concentrate, headache, lightheadedness, confusion, memory loss, numbness of the lips and tongues, slurred speech, impaired coordination, emotional changes, irrational or combative behavior, means behavior change, double vision, and drowsiness. Clinical manifestations of severe hypoglycemia include distorted behavior, disoriented behavior, seizures, difficulty from arousing from the sleep, or loss of consciousness. How we will manage hypoglycemia? Management of hypoglycemia includes immediate oral administration of 15 gram of fast-acting concentrated source of carbohydrate such as glucose tablets or candies or juice. In emergency situation, for the clients who are unconsciousness and cannot swallow, then an injection of glucagon 1 milligram can be administered either subcutaneously or intramuscularly. Hypoglycemia is prevented by a constant pattern of eating, administering insulin, and exercising. It is important that patients with diabetes, especially those who are receiving insulin, learn to carry some form of simple sugar with them at all times, so they can use it in emergency. Next complication is DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. Diabetic ketoacidosis is caused by chronic inadequate or missed dose of insulin, chronic illness or infection, and or an undiagnosed or untreated diabetes. There are three main clinical features of DKA, that are hyperglycemia, dehydration and electrolyte loss, and acidosis. Management of DKA include correcting dehydration, electrolyte loss should be corrected, and acidosis should be corrected. In addition to correcting the blood glucose level, IV fluids are prescribed to correct dehydration. Ketone bodies accumulate as a result of fat breakdown. So this acidosis that occurs due to DKA is reversed with insulin infusion normally used. Next complication is HHNS, hyperglycemic hyperosmolar non-ketotic syndrome. HHNS is a serious condition in which hyperosmolarity and hyperglycemia predominates, with alteration of sensorium and without ketoacidosis. Persistent hyperglycemia causes osmotic diuresis, which results in loss of water and electrolytes. The clinical manifestations of HHNS include hypotension, signs of profound dehydration such as dry mucous membrane, poor skin turgor, tachycardia, and variable neurological signs such as alteration in the sensorium, seizures, hemiparesis, etc. In the management of HHNS, it is similar to that we have just discussed in DKA, such as fluid replacement, correction of electrolyte imbalance, and insulin administration. Now we come to chronic complications of diabetes mellitus. There are three major categories of long-term diabetes complications, that is macrovascular complications, microvascular complications, and diabetic neuropathies. Macrovascular complication. Macrovascular means medium to large blood vessels. The complication of these vessels, complication occur due to wall thickness of the blood vessels, and these walls may contain plaque, and that is adhered to the wall, and the blood flow is obstructed. Especially coronary artery disease, cerebrovascular disease, and peripheral vascular disease. These are three main macrovascular complications that occur frequently in the patients with diabetes mellitus when they have long-term problem. Microvascular complication. Diabetic microvascular complications occur in the capillaries. There means very small blood vessels. There is thickening of the basement membrane of capillaries. Eye problem, that is known as diabetic retinopathy, is caused by changes in the capillaries of retina. Diabetic nephropathy or renal disease secondary to diabetic microvascular complications or changes in the kidney is common microvascular complication of diabetes mellitus. Next is diabetic neuropathy. Diabetic neuropathy refers to a group of diseases that affect all types of nerves, maybe sensory, maybe motor, and others. The two most common type of diabetes neuropathy are sensoromotor polyneuropathy and autonomic neuropathy. Decreased sensations of the pain and temperature place the patient at risk for injury and undetected foot infections, that is also known as diabetic foot ulcer, because client is not able to sense the pain of foot infection or small cuts and wounds, and that become a large ulcer. So now we will discuss the foot and leg problems in diabetes mellitus, because they are most prominent in these clients, especially if the patient is of older age. Even in community we can see these patients. Between 50 to 75% of lower extremity amputations are performed on the people who are suffering from diabetes. It is also included in the long-term complication of diabetes mellitus. The typical sequence of events in the development of diabetic foot ulcer begin with the soft tissue injury of the foot, then formation of fissures between the toes and an area of dry skin and formation of callus. Patients with insensitive foot due to neuropathies do not feel pain at the injury site, which may occur by using heating pads. The client is using heating pad in the winter and cannot sense the temperature, then the skin may burn. Walking barefoot on the hot road or hot concrete, testing bath water with foot, and traumatic such as injuring the skin while cutting nails, walking with an undetected foreign object in the shoes, or wearing ill-fitting shoes and socks. So how you will provide skin care and foot care to the diabetic patients? Teaching proper foot care is a nursing intervention that can prevent diabetic foot ulcers complications. Daily foot skin assessment should be done to detect skin problem as early as possible and treat them. Feet should be examined for any redness, blister formation, fissure formation, callus, ulceration, changes in the skin temperature, and development of foot deformities. Patient should be encouraged to inspect all the surfaces of the feet daily using a mirror, or family member may help in feet examination. All patients should be assessed for neuropathy and undergo evaluation of neuropathic status by experienced examiner during each visit to the diabetic clinic or hospital. Patient and his family member should be taught about all aspects of preventive foot care such as proper bathing, drying and lubricating the feet with lotions with demonstration method and written demonstration from the patient and family. Patient and family members should be explained to take special precaution not to allow moisture to accumulate between the toes as it may lead to infections. Patients should wear closed-toed shoes that fit well, and shoes can be padded to remove pressure from the pressure points in the foot. Patients should be explained about avoiding high-risk behaviors such as walking barefoot, using heating pads on the feet, wearing open-toes shoes, soaking the feet in the water for longer time, and shaving or removing the callus. Nails should be cut short. SHORT, actually it is R here, so you can make changes. And corners should be carefully filed. Patient should wear shoes and socks all the time to prevent trauma. The patient is encouraged to feel inside the shoes before putting them on each time to make sure that the lining are smooth and there is no foreign object or sharp object or nail inside the shoes. To improve blood circulation, the patient should keep the feet up while sitting. Patient should wiggle the toes and move the ankles up and down for 5 minutes 2 to 3 times a day. The patient is encouraged not to cross legs for the longer time because it may hinder blood circulation. In these ways, you can prevent the foot ulcers. Thank you students for watching this video. You can subscribe the channel for latest updates. You can like Facebook page, and for making your notes, you can visit mynursingstudents.blogspot.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and join Facebook group Nursing Notes. Thank you. Have a nice day.